What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, October 12th, 2023, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 8:19 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to give you an update on the war in the Middle East, okay? The war in Israel, the Israel war. I want to update you on this war, okay? And this war is going to expand and it's going to escalate, so please make sure you start topping off your preps because the average person on the street is soon going to realize what's going on here. And when they do, they're going to start panic buying. Okay, so get everything you need now before the panic buying starts. Okay, right now we're just in the initial stages of this war. Okay, Israel hasn't even brought to bear all of the firepower that they have, not even close. And they haven't actually started their ground invasion of Gaza. Okay, but once they start that ground invasion in Gaza, and once they really start pounding Gaza with missiles, you're going to see multiple fronts opening up. You're going to have Hezbollah getting involved. You're going to have Syria getting involved. You're going to have Iran getting involved, possibly Turkey. And when those other countries start to get involved, then the United States is going to be obligated to protect Israel from those other countries and those other factions. Okay. And that's how things can spiral out of control. Then Russia and China could get involved, and we could just go into an all out nuclear war or a world war. Okay. So please prepare yourselves now while you still can. Think about what you need to get and top off your supplies. Do it this weekend because this war is escalating very, very quickly. Okay. By the hour, by the day, not by the week or by the month. Okay. Time is running out. So get prepared and top off your supplies. Do the things you need to do as soon as possible because there's no end in sight to this war. It's only going to escalate. It's only going to expand. And with some of the latest information coming out from Israel, with apparently babies being set on fire and beheaded, pictures coming out, the Israeli people are not going to be so quick to forgive Hamas. Okay, the Israeli people and Netanyahu, they're out for blood, and they said it themselves. They said that they're not going to pull any punches. Basically, that they're going all out. That the rules of war have gone out the window. Okay, the Israeli defense minister said himself that there will be no rules of war. Okay, now, I think Israel is trying to play along with the international community a little bit with the UN, and they're going to allow for a humanitarian corridor. They're going to wait to do their ground invasion and their bombardment, their serious bombardment, until as many civilians can leave as possible. And in my prior updates, or in my last update, I shared one of the leaflets that Israel is now dropping over Gaza from the air. They're dropping leaflets out telling residents that you need to leave. And the UN and the US and the EU, they're trying to set up a humanitarian corridor to get the civilians out before Israel starts going in on the ground and before they start some very, very serious bombardment. Okay, we haven't seen the serious bombardment yet. We haven't seen the ground invasion yet. Once that happens, I think Hezbollah is going to get involved, and the rest of the Muslim world are going to go into an uproar. Okay, and that's when things are really going to get crazy. Now, this is all biblical, guys. This is setting the stage for the Ezekiel 38 and 39 invasion of Israel. Okay, I stand with Israel. I'm a Christian, just so you guys know where I stand. Okay, but there's no peace, guys. There's not going to be any peace. There's not going to be any miraculous end to this war. Okay, this is just getting started now. Okay, Hamas going into Israel, those were just the pawns. Okay, they were the pawns, and Hezbollah, Syria, Iran, those are the bishops, the rooks, and the queen, and the king could be Russia or China. Okay, but the pawns just started. We're going to get the rooks and the bishops soon from Hezbollah and Syria, and then the queen might be like Iran getting involved. Okay, but in my last update earlier today, I mentioned that Israel destroyed two airports in Syria. Okay, they destroyed the runways. So those two major international airports in Syria are now inoperable. Okay, so Russia's not going to be able to land a lot of their planes into Syria to resupply the Hamas and all these other groups, Hezbollah, the pro Iranian militias. Um, they're taking out the airports to reduce the resupply of these terrorists that are attacking Israel. Okay. Israel is the Holy Land, and the Jews are God's chosen people. Okay. And God will always protect the Jews and Israel. So anybody that goes up against Israel is going up against God Himself. And that whatever entity, whatever person goes up against the Jews and Israel will lose. Okay. Time and time again, nobody, no kingdom, nothing that has ever gone up against Israel or the Jews has ever succeeded. Okay, God has always struck them down, and just like in the past, God will strike down the current enemies of Israel. Okay, when that's going to be and how that's going to happen, I have no idea. All right, but as of right now, we are heading towards a major escalation here. Okay, so I'm going to just update you on the latest information that I have. We have some major breaking news coming from NATO. NATO is going to be holding a major nuclear exercise next week. Okay. They're going to be doing a nuclear war readiness exercise. They're going to practice with their fighter jets on delivering the B 61 nuclear bombs. Okay, those are the gravity bombs that the F-16s carry. They have a yield of up to 475 kilotons. Okay, so they are extremely powerful. So they're going to take F-16s. They're going to fly them in the air. They're going to do all kinds of stuff. That's very concerning when you look at the big picture. And if you've been watching my videos, I've been talking about all the reconnaissance planes in the Baltics and in Poland, and how Russia reorganized their Western military district. They broke up the giant Western military district into smaller districts now, which is indicative of a potential invasion of the Baltics, that they're planning an invasion of the Baltics. The last two nights, a combat Sentinel plane was deployed to Kaliningrad, okay, back to back nights. And this plane, there's only two of them in the U.S. Air Force, and it's specifically used to collect intelligence for the president and the chiefs of staff. Okay, so if they're sending one of these planes to an area, it means something serious is going on, and the president and the Joint Chiefs want to know about it. Okay, so something is brewing in the European theater, in addition to what's going on in Israel. I mean, the world is just getting absolutely crazy, guys. Okay, and tomorrow they're talking about this global day of jihad, and this all started because of the former Hamas chief who said that Muslims should show anger to send a message of rage to Zionists and America on October the 13th, which is tomorrow, Friday the 13th. How weird is that? We have breaking news that the NYPD has ordered all of their police officers to report in uniform tomorrow. Okay, what does that mean? That means if you're a detective, if you're a meter person, okay, you check meters and you write parking tickets. If you're a crossing guard, okay, the NYPD has crossing guards, okay. If you're a New York City police officer, whatever your job is, you have to report in uniform tomorrow, okay. They only do that when they expect something very serious to happen, all right. And we do know that the Joint Terrorism Task Force is on high alert right now for possible terror attacks across the country tomorrow. Okay, so these terrorist attacks could come in multiple forms. They could be riots, they could be attacks on infrastructure, they could be random acts of violence. Okay, we just don't know, but we do know that there's probably thousands, if not millions, of sleeper cells in this country. Okay, and when this war escalates, it hasn't even really gotten to that point yet, but when it gets to that point, all those sleeper cells are going to be activated and they're going to start committing various types of terror attacks. They're going to go after our infrastructure. They're going to try to take down our power grid. They're going to go after dams. Okay. They're going to, commit random acts of violence. All right. So be vigilant. Stay away from large public gatherings. Okay. Always have an exit near you. Be aware of cover and concealment wherever you go. If you're in a crowded area that could potentially be a target, use your common sense, okay? Use your common sense and try to kind of put yourself in the mind of one of these terrorists or jihadists, okay? And think like, okay, if I was a jihadist, what would I do? What would be the targets? And think like that, and then you'll be able to identify potential danger zones that you want to avoid. Okay, don't go into any area that you can't easily get out of. Okay, stay away from big crowded areas. Obvious targets, stay away from. And like I said, identify cover and concealment everywhere you go. Just be aware of your surroundings. Use your peripheral vision. Don't have tunnel vision. And if you have the capability of carrying a self-defense tool, carry it 24/7. Okay, make sure it's zeroed and practice with it. But if you can legally carry a self-defense tool on your person in public, you should do so. Okay, because you could save other people's lives or even your own life in a worst case scenario. We currently have some type of rioting going on in Austria. Okay, there's riot police fighting with pro Hamas rioters. We also have police in France using tear gas and water cannons on pro Hamas, pro Palestinian protesters or rioters in Paris. Okay, so we'll see what happens tomorrow, guys. I'm going to cover this day of jihad, as they call it, Global Day of Jihad, Friday the 13th, 2023. I will be covering it, and if it gets serious, I will go live. Okay, so make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the bell icon to be notified when I go live or when I post updates like this one. But if it gets serious, I will go live. Okay. So we have the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs saying that Israeli airstrikes on Syrian territory could trigger an armed escalation across the entire region. Okay, the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs saying Israeli airstrikes on Syrian territory could trigger an armed escalation across the entire region. And they said this after it was 100% confirmed that those runways at the Damascus International Airport and the Aleppo International Airport were taken out either by Israel or maybe by some allied nation like the U.S. The Russian state media was blaming missiles that came from the Mediterranean. So they're basically saying that it was U.S. missiles that took out these runways in Syria. But it's really hard to say what's true and what's not. But we do know that those runways were taken out earlier today. We have John Kirby mentioning the latest death toll earlier today. And he basically said that the death toll is at 27 for Americans and 14 remain unaccounted for. And in my opinion, I think it's much higher than that. I mean, you notice how they're very slowly raising the number. At first it was 11, then it was 14, then it was 22, now it's 27. I mean, do you really believe that only 27 Americans have been killed in Israel? 27? That's it. I really have a hard time believing that. Okay. There's probably hundreds of Americans that have been killed, taken hostage, whatever, because there's a ton of Western tourists that go to Israel, a lot of Americans, a lot of Europeans. So I find it hard to believe that just 27 have been killed, but still 27 Americans. Okay. So this is a very, very serious situation, guys. Okay, all the major powers of the world are being pulled into this conflict. Okay, the United States, NATO, Russia, Iran, Turkey, China. Okay, every major power, every major nuclear power, every major military power is somehow involved in the Middle East. And so it affects everybody. And that's why there could be a very serious escalation coming. Okay, we have some information coming from Sky News, which is the British newspaper. They're saying that British forces are preparing to move into Israel. Okay. So British forces are preparing to deploy to Israel. We do know that the U.S. is already sending tier one operators into Israel to help with the hostage rescue. Okay. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that one of his relatives is being held captive by Hamas. Okay. And the Jerusalem Post can now officially confirm and verify that the photos of the bodies of babies that were reportedly burnt or decapitated are correct, and that actually did happen. Okay, which is just absolutely so sick and so evil. Okay, there's just no words to describe how evil that is, and that's the kind of evil that we're seeing. Okay, this is the work of the devil, guys. Okay, the devil wants to destroy the Holy Land. He always wanted to. Okay, the UN claims that over 338,000 people have been displaced in Gaza. Okay, so almost 500,000 Palestinians have been displaced since the war started. Iran's foreign minister Abdullah Hayyan is now in Beirut. Okay, that's this guy right here, the taller guy on the left. I don't know how to say his last name, but he is now in Beirut, Lebanon, speaking with Hezbollah officials. And he basically threatened Israel. And he said that the Zionist regime will get answers from all axes for the siege of Gaza. Okay, so he's saying that because Israel is doing this siege, okay, they've cut off all power, food, water, all utilities, because Israel is doing this siege of Gaza. That basically the Muslim world is going to attack Israel from multiple sides. Okay, all axes. All right, that's what he's saying. He also said, in light of the continuing aggression, war crimes, and siege on Gaza, opening other fronts is a real possibility. Okay, so they're telling us, guys, they're telling us that they will open other fronts. Okay, we don't have to guess about it, we don't have to debate it. They're telling us that they will open other fronts. Okay, opening other fronts is a real possibility. Okay, the Israeli military is awaiting political approval for a ground invasion into Gaza. If the approval is given, the forces are prepared to stay for months. The clear objective presented to the senior command is the disarmament of the Gaza Strip. Okay, so they're going to go in with a full scale ground invasion, 300,000 troops, guys. They're going to go into Gaza, and they have a plan of staying there for months because it's going to be urban fighting. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be quick. And that's why I think this is going to escalate, because I think what Iran and Hezbollah and Syria, what they're waiting on is they're waiting for Israel to go into Gaza and get bogged down in Gaza, because it's going to be urban fighting. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be bloody. And that's when Hezbollah is going to really move in with troops, with missile attacks, supported by Syria, supported by Iran. Iran could potentially then get involved, because then the U.S. is going to take out Hezbollah. Okay, and Iran has already warned the U.S. not to do that, but the U.S. has no choice. I mean, they can't just sit back and let Hezbollah go in and attack Israel from another front. So the U.S. is going to send missiles at Hezbollah, wipe them out, and then Iran is going to do something. They could go after our oil fields. Okay, you remember just a few years ago when Iran launched a surprise attack on the Saudi Arabian oil fields? That was pretty scary, guys. Luckily, they were able to put the fires out quick, and that was just like a small missile attack. Okay, but if Iran launches all their missiles at our oil fields in Saudi Arabia, that's going to be a global crisis. There's going to be a global oil crisis. Forget about gas prices. Okay, it's not that gas is going to be expensive. You're not even going to be able to get it. Okay, you're going to have to wait in line. There's going to be rationing of fuel because there's going to be a shortage of oil around the world if they do that. And they have the missiles to do that. And that's one of their strategies in a war with the West, is to go after the oil fields, which is basically the most vulnerable thing. Okay. And I want to remind you guys that Israel has the Samson option. The Samson option is basically part of Israel's nuclear war doctrine. And it says that if Israel comes under attack from multiple sides and their existence is threatened, they could use nuclear weapons and lash out at all their enemies. Okay. And the closest Israel ever came to using the Samson option was in 1973 when the Arabs were surrounding Israel. And the prime minister at the time, he put 12 atomic bombs on combat alert. Okay. And he told them to ready, he told his military to ready them for deployment because they were getting surrounded. And fortunately, Nixon, not that I'm a fan of Nixon or anything, but he gave Israel weapons and equipment. And so they didn't have to go to that level. Okay. But they were getting ready to do it should Nixon not have given them what they needed. Okay. So there's just all kinds of possibilities with this situation. And like I said, Israel's not going to forget about this. Okay. They've gone beyond the point of no return. Okay, when you have pictures of babies that were burned alive and just unspeakable horrors, the Israeli people are not going to forget about that anytime soon. Okay, and all the lines have been crossed, and it's just beyond the point of, yeah, we're going to sit down and negotiate. No, that's not going to happen. We also have some breaking news that apparently the Turkish military is making preparations to send a military contingent to the Gaza Strip. Okay, so Turkey might be sending a military contingent to the Gaza Strip. We know that the leader of Turkey is sympathetic to the Palestinians. All right, so Turkey's going to send maybe special forces on the ground into Gaza to secretly fight against the Israelis. That's a sneaky thing to do, but that's something that Erdogan would do. He's a sneaky guy. Okay. The U.S. State Department has announced that beginning tomorrow, they will begin the process of organizing the evacuation of American nationals from Israel using charter flights from Tel Aviv International Airport. We have the Ukrainian chief of intelligence, Kirilo Budanov, saying that we are approaching world war faster and faster, and there is a Russian trace in the fighting in Israel. We have some breaking news coming from the Pentagon that a squadron of A-10 Warthogs have arrived in the UAE to support Israel and deter any attacks. Okay, and I want to just read to you about this aircraft carrier strike group and the aircraft carrier that was deployed to Israel. Okay, the Gerald R. Ford is the largest warship ever built, also the most expensive warship ever built. It cost $13 billion. Okay, $13 billion, most expensive warship and the largest warship. It has a length of over 1,000 feet. Okay, 3 football fields. It's powered by 2 nuclear reactors. with a lifespan of 25 years on those reactors. Okay. It can travel as fast as 35 miles per hour. Okay. 35 miles per hour for such a massive, uh, warship is just ridiculous. Um, and it can carry up to 75 fighter jets, including F-35s. Okay. So the U.S. is not sending, their crappy rust bucket to the Middle East. They're sending their best. Okay, this is their best aircraft carrier, their largest. They're not sending some old rust bucket. Okay, and that tells you something right there. And they're talking about possibly another aircraft carrier strike group going in, and possibly a British one as well. Okay, here we have the flight path of an Israeli Air Force uh, reconnaissance plane, it looks like. So that's pretty much the latest information that I have, guys. I'll continue to update you on the situation in Israel. These are unprecedented times. Please top off on your supplies. Please prepare yourself, and make sure you're subscribed, and click the bell icon to get notified of these updates. And I will continue to update you on the situation. I might go live tomorrow for this global day of jihad. We'll see what happens. But other than that, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.